In 2 weeks, I'm done. You want to talk about regretting your vote?
I never thought I'd say that, but I regret my vote. I voted for Trump.
I voted for Trump, and I regret it now.
As a Hispanic, I voted for Donald J. Trump. Dude, I regret it so much, man.
I am regretting my vote for Donald Trump.
I voted for Donald Trump, and now I regret it.
A lot of people who were like me voted for Trump and have to account for that.
I regret voting for Trump.
So deeply regret my vote for Donald Trump.
I regret voting for Trump.
I was a dumbass, voted for Trump. It was the worst decision I ever made.
I've seen the light, and I got out of MAGA. A lot of us there have seen the light. We have deep regrets.
I feel guilty because I voted for Trump twice. I feel very guilty because I feel responsible. That's why he's still running.
I was with Trump for 9 straight years. I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed in Trump right now.
The reason we're seeing so many people who have been hardcore MAGA influencers and things like that finally breaking away a little bit, right? They're calling them out. They're saying stuff is because there's finally something that has enough MAGA people questioning and disagreeing that they're like, oh my God, I can finally say something that isn't sucking up to him and talk about how he's the second coming of Christ without them canceling me. Because the MAGA influencers are literally scared of being canceled by MAGA, which is hilarious when you think about the whole cancel thing. But the whole Epstein thing is such a fiasco for Trump, and it's so obvious of the backtracking between him and his administration. And there's people like, well, he never outright said whatever. Yeah, no, every person he brought into a position said it though, right? Kash Patel said it on multiple podcasts. He was pushing it hard. Pam Bondi, like they all said it. They also, like the people that he chose to put in these places of power, his appointees, his trusted people that he's telling you to listen to, have told you for a year, 2 years, whatever, that this was the case. So regardless, you were lied to then or you were lied to now. And that actually has MAGA questioning itself, which is why we're now seeing influencers be like, oh, I can finally break away from this guy. Because most of them don't actually think Trump is some genius who's doing everything. No, they just need his base because they monetize you. They monetize you. Like they make money off of MAGA. They make money off of outrage, off of clickbait, off of making fake clips and spreading them around. And now they can break away from Trump because they know this is a big enough deal to MAGA and the world in general that Trump wouldn't win again right now. If he could run a third time, he wouldn't win right now. And I think everybody knows that.
Well, the MAGA falling away has begun. And the only question is how long is it going to take for the vast majority of the Republican Party to turn on Donald Trump? And how long is it going to take for most of his goddamn supporters to realize he's nothing but a fraud and for them to turn away too? You see, because the Republican Party, the senators and the congressmen, the representatives, they goddamn know that they're going to prison. Everybody knows it. They can't run and they can't hide from what's coming their way, because you can't be a part of one of the most corrupt administrations in the history of the United States and not expect there to be consequences. And there will be consequences when the next administration takes over and the people are sick of Donald Trump and his family of just ripping away every ounce of wealth from the American people. That day of reckoning will come. You see, and the Republicans, the politicians, they know it. They know it's coming. They know it's going to happen. Just like in his first administration, how many people that were involved in the Trump administration back in the 2016 presidential cycle went to prison? They know the shit's going to hit the fan, and they don't want to be close to this bomb when it goes off.
Have you noticed more people online saying that they renounce Trump and MAGA? Hey everybody, Rich here at Leaving MAGA, leavingmaga.org. For those of you who are like me online a lot, I'm pretty confident that you are starting to see more and more people express remorse and regret for voting for Trump and supporting the MAGA movement. And for any of you out there who know someone who's having doubts, who knows someone who's left MAGA, please introduce them to what we're doing here at Leaving MAGA. And if any of you out there are in MAGA and you feel like you've reached a red line where there's one betrayal, one lie too many, I want you to know that we're here to support you. I know what you're going through. I've been where you are, and there's a better way, and that you can actually leave MAGA and don't need to keep living a life based on lies, falsehoods, and conspiracies. So make sure you follow on our socials. Make sure you keep checking out online people who are leaving. It is so encouraging. We have never, as an organization, been busier. And that's a testament not to me, but to our team and to all of you out there who support us. So thanks for watching. As always, we really appreciate all that you do for us.
We can clearly say and see right now that MAGA is cracking, and it's happening fast. You know, what started as whispers amongst Trump supporters is now turning into a real revolt. Yeah? And not because maybe liberals are attacking them or anything, but because MAGA in itself is turning on Trump. You know, former hardcore supporters are openly saying we've had enough, and you know, there is a mass exit, mass exodus. We can see it every day on the internet. MAGA supporters are regretting, and MAGA supporters are actually coming out clear to say we've had enough, and you know, we cannot do this anymore, because they're accusing Trump of, one, he's not a man of his words. Again, Trump does not value loyalty. You can do anything for him, everything you can for him, but whenever it is his time to you know, to give back, he doesn't care about you. As long as he used you to get to power or to get whatever he wanted, he will always show you that you're very expendable. You know, you're not as very useful. And I think one of the many reasons MAGA supporters have had enough of this administration already is such things like that. So let's watch a little longer, and I'll be back with more real good commentary.
We're reaching a point where there's more and more MAGA loyalists or MAGA type people or promoters of MAGA that are starting to speak out against him. This Epstein stuff is obviously the big tipping point for a lot of them. Tariffs and stuff was for some of them. But now from the right, you're starting to hear more alarm bells, more concern, more criticism. And it's like, that's awesome. I'm glad that you're finally waking up to some of this stuff.
I'm genuinely conflicted here. It is good people are waking up. Progress is progress. But what the hell took so long? The Epstein stuff is the breaking point? Really? Not January 6th? Not the classified documents? Not everything else? This information wasn't hidden. It was right there on camera, in his own words, over and over. But now it's a problem. I'm glad you're waking up. But don't expect a parade. You're not brave for finally seeing what everyone pointed at for a decade. You're just late, very late.
But it's just okay, but what now? You guys have already created this monster, and it's so fucking annoying, because what happened with Stephen Colbert recently, I feel like that is not cool. It's this entitled piece of shit man has been able to get his way in so many ways. The corruption is so fucking crazy. How is this real life? How is this happening? How is he able to get away with such fucking bullshit? And the thing is, it's when more people start waking up or whatever starts happening, what happens then? What happens to everything that he has fucked up? But of course, I feel the one thing, it's the same thing that Obama did after Bush, right? It's just Bush fucked up a whole ton of shit or whatever. Obviously not as bad as Trump, but he fucked up shit, and then a whole entire liberal system, Democrats, had to come in and fix the shit that fucking Republicans did. So I feel that's what's gonna be happening now, as long as Trump doesn't get away with more fucking tampering with the freaking vote. I'm just disappointed in so many people when it comes to Congress, when it comes to the Supreme Court justices, all of it. It's just so fucking disappointing. Trump has literally ruined America. He's caused so much division and hate, and he's just, oh my gosh, literally, it's just what do we do from here? What do we do?
It is absolutely killing the left inside that no one is really regretting their vote for Donald Trump. And
ooh, honey, this did not age well. Let's actually let Dave Smith, a Trump supporter, speak on his reaction to the No New Wars president bringing us into a war with Iran.
About coming back to the negotiating table. It's like sitting after Pearl Harbor and telling FDR, now's the time to go negotiate with the Japanese. Negotiations are over now. The time for negotiations was before this. And so, yeah, Donald Trump looks, and man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one, and not on some not on some ridiculous Nancy Pelosi. Of course, the Congress will never do it because they're all a bunch of corrupt hacks. Donald Trump should be impeached and removed for this. All of his supporters should turn on him. It's the absolute betrayal of everything that he ran and campaigned on and everything that he stood for.
Let's give credit where it's due. This guy, a supporter, saying there should be impeachment, that takes guts. Because leaving a movement like this, it's not just changing opinions. You lose friends, community, your whole social circle. Their entire identity was wrapped up in this. Walking away even when you know it's right, that's hard. So when someone says, I was wrong, I apologize, that's not nothing. Does it excuse the damage? No. But it shows people can change. And that's something we should encourage.
And I will say, despite the fact that, Donald Trump supporters have been labeled like a cult following, and that certainly is true for a percentage of his supporters, he is going to lose his coalition over this. I know I don't just speak for myself when I say there are a lot of us who simply will not go along with this. So this just a devastating mistake by
Donald Trump is about to have a meltdown, and his own supporters are the reason, as he just had the worst day of his presidency so far. Now, it all started on Capitol Hill, where Donald Trump met to meet with Republican lawmakers in hopes to get them to go along with his big, beautiful bill. But after meeting with Republicans, several of them came out and said, we're not going along with this. It doesn't meet what we need. Donald, step aside. We've got stuff to figure out on our own. Then later on, across social media, his hardcore conspiracy theory MAGA supporters are turning on him because his FBI, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, are not going along with what they want to be true. Because Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have said, look, every theory you have about Epstein just isn't real. We looked at the evidence. Sorry, it's not true. And this is Donald Trump's problem. He tried to be everything to everybody. He changed what he said depending on who he was sitting in front of. And now he finds himself in a position where he can't please them all, and people are turning on him.
But that wasn't enough for you. You voted for him not once, not twice, but 3 fucking times. Now you want back in because something finally touched you? Because now your rights, your family, your life is somehow threatened? You didn't care when he said he was going to carry out mass deportations. You didn't care when he vowed to dismantle our goddamn government. You didn't care about the environment, women's rights, civil rights, or even fucking democracy itself. Simultaneously called yourself a fucking patriot. You didn't care about honor or decency. You supported a man who was brutally unkind, who hates the poor, hates anyone that's not white. You called yourself a fucking Christian while supporting it. You watched this fucker orchestrate an insurrection, but that wasn't enough for you because you still showed up. Now, when the flames are licking your fucking porch, you want to come stand behind our shield? Same fucking snowflakes you've been mocking for a decade? Now we're supposed to welcome you? You put the bullets in Trump's gun.
Whoa, that's some real anger. And I get it completely. Imagine being called a snowflake for years, mocked, gaslit, while watching everything fall apart. And now they want forgiveness. I understand wanting to say no, make them sit in discomfort. But here's the thing, if we want people to leave these movements, we have to give them somewhere to go. Not easy, not without accountability, but possible. If the message is you're irredeemable forever, why would anyone leave? Accountability and grace. Hard to do, but necessary.
I want you to stay regretful. I want you to live in that discomfort every motherfucking day.
Look at how all the Trump supporters wrecked DC. Look at how ugly.
You ready for the real story? Because I was in that line. People stood in that line for 10+ hours and there were no garbage cans. Throughout the security, they were literally taking everything out of our bags and there were no garbage cans. That was intentional, so there would be people like you that would go online and push this type of propaganda trying to paint Trump supporters as bad. And to all my followers, go to this woman's page and go see that all of her videos are basically her just screaming in a megaphone. The IQ level speaks for itself. And she's the reason that cities like mine have codes against using megaphones, because this is freaking annoying.
Even Republicans are starting to become afraid of the Trump administration. Check this out.
Hey everybody, my name is Ryan Davenport. Quick recap, former field director for the Republican Party of Texas, staffer for Dan Patrick on the Education Committee in the 83rd, two-time elected member of the Texas delegation of the National Convention. I joined you in Arlington when there were no maps on Monday, and now here 4 days later, and 268,000 square miles of Texas has been redistricted almost overnight. And I want to commend the very honest Republican members of this committee on their ability to redistrict 186 square miles of Texas per minute between Monday and Wednesday.
Wait, did this guy just do math? A Republican did math to prove a point? Unprecedented. But seriously, this is huge. This isn't some liberal activist. This is a former field director for the Republican Party of Texas, an insider saying this is wrong. Redistricting 268,000 square miles in 4 days, that's not democracy. That's blatant manipulation. Power grabs only work if enough people stay quiet. But when people inside the machine say too far, that's when it breaks down. One truth teller at a time.
I have to reiterate my opposition to this effort. Donald Trump is demanding additional congressional seats so he doesn't have to pay the natural consequences of his assault on free trade, free markets, democratic institutions, his departure from ethical leadership. You are positioned to be his enablers. Not only is he keeping minority voters from having fair representation, but he's systematically removing them, even saying he'd be open to deporting United States citizens and naturalized citizens. Don't you see what is happening?
Guys, we need your help over on the Substack. This channel has been taken down twice already, and it could get taken down again at any time. The link is in the bio. Also, check out our YouTube, which is growing quick.
If you're wondering when our fellow Americans are going to recognize the damage that Donald Trump is doing to this country, I want to point out that more and more Americans are. This is easy to miss because it doesn't get covered much, but public opinion has been moving quickly and dramatically away from the president. Among young people, he's lost 34 points of support. And I think it's because he's failing to keep his most basic promises. He hasn't brought prices down. They're going up because of his actions. The economy as a whole is getting worse. And most Americans see that and recognize it. And it's showing up in the way that they think and talk about the president. So don't fall for this attempt to make you feel disempowered. Raising our voices makes a difference. It's clearly having an effect, and we've got to keep it up.
Here's a message to all you people out there supporting Trump and are carrying out his actions. The pilots flying the immigrants to El Salvador. The jackbooted ICE thugs pulling our citizens off the street. You're doing these things because you're following orders, but that has already been determined that that is not a defense of doing illegal stuff. You can still be prosecuted even if you're just following orders.
This doesn't get talked about enough. Just following orders is not a defense. We established this after World War II, Nuremberg principle. Every person carrying out these policies needs to understand you are making a choice every day. And when the pendulum swings back, you will be accountable, not the politicians, you, the one who did it. People at the top have lawyers and escape plans. People at the bottom end up in court. If you're being asked to do something that feels wrong, you have a choice. Right now, choose wisely.
Secondly, Trump has no loyalty. Let's look at two cases right now. Mike Lindell and Rudy Giuliani, two of the most vehement supporters of Donald Trump, two of the biggest pushers of the big lie. Are they sitting in Trump's cabinet now he's been reelected? Is Lindell the Secretary of Commerce and is Rudy Giuliani the Attorney General? No, they're both destitute. Rudy lost everything, including his reputation. Remember when Rudy was America's mayor? Now, people in New York knew what a piece of shit he was from go, but the rest of the world thought that he was this great leader, and he destroyed all that by getting in bed with Trump. Lindell was the kooky guy that came in the middle of the night selling you his crappy pillows. He is close to bankrupt. My pillow will be not around probably in the next few years. This is what allying with Trump gets you. This is where you are going to end up as well, but this time even worse, because you guys are actually committing crimes. You guys are committing acts of atrocity in human rights violation. And Trump will not be in office forever. Even if the shenanigans that everyone's afraid of happens and he goes for a third term, eventually Eventually, all dictators fall. He will also fall, and you that are following his orders will be left holding the bag.
I am an ex-Trump supporter. I knew this was going to happen. Years ago, during his first run, during his first term, I had issues with Donald Trump. I went into the whole Trump phase because I was very anti-war, and I didn't like Hillary. I didn't like a lot of past presidents of the time. I grew up during the Bush war era. So when Trump was all, hey, I'm anti-war, I'm criticizing everybody, Democrat, Republican, I'm like, I'm gonna give this guy a chance. But then he continued to send airstrikes into Syria. Then there was the $8 billion arms deal, and every time I tried talking about it, Trump supporters just yelled at me, trust the plan, bro.
Trust the plan, bro. Those 3 words haunted so many people who asked legitimate questions. This woman wasn't a liberal plant. She was a supporter with concerns. Instead of engaging, she got attacked, told to just trust. That's not a political movement. That's a cult. She was right about everything. Lost 80,000 followers for it. 80,000 people chose comfortable lies over uncomfortable truth. That's the real tragedy. Not that leaders fail, but that people chose to ignore warnings.
Is the plan working yet? Is it? Fast forward me to burning a MAGA hat on a charcoal grill, roasting some marshmallows. Don't worry, I did not consume said marshmallows. Lost 80,000 followers on my YouTube channel, only to find out I was right. I was right? Huh! Years later to find out I was actually right. Now mind you, I don't want to be right about the situation. I am very scared. I'm a military wife. I have no idea what's going to happen with my family, with my husband. But it's times like these, after years and years and years of people telling me how much of a joke I was and how much of a grifter I was, I kind of want to relish in this moment. I'm terrified, but every time I see a post of a former Trump supporter talking about how they're leaving because it's not what they voted for, I tried to warn people. I tried to warn y'all. I really did. I did. I am scared though.
All right. So this backlash, as you can see, is really real. Yeah. In the recent months, prominent figures, once very, very loyal to Trump, have publicly broken with him. For example, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Just one example we can cite. Once one of the most outspoken MAGA allies in Congress has clashed with Trump over policies and of course priorities, including foreign policy and domestic issues, and that really signals a deeper satisfaction within the movement itself. So this kind of public split, because that's not something that it could be hidden, was nearly unthinkable some time before. You'd never think these two would go separate ways, but now what we are seeing is very, very hardcore supporters, hardcore allies, saying they can do this. And again, comes this issue of the Epstein files controversy, and I think that's brought something deeper, and a major catalyst for internal anger is how this Trump administration has handled these Jeffrey Epstein files. For months, Trump allies promised explosive, disclosures about powerful figures connected to Epstein. Only for the DOJ to release very, very scanty and limited information and dismiss the promised client list. Remember, they had promised a client list and, it failed. So this misfire, or these lies, if we can put it plainly like that, have frustrated many people who really defended Trump, saying he wasn't going to be anywhere to be seen in the Epstein files. And when you let down your people who really believed you cannot be in such an instance, they begin to question on whether really they should defend you for not being there. So this isn't just fringe noise online. Even some MAGA influencers have openly expressed feelings, feeling betrayed and mocked the leadership over the same. Yeah, and also something else that we cannot overlook is the policy decisions within the Trump administration that are really now splitting the base from the inside. And yeah, because it's not just scandals like maybe the Epstein files or anything, but even Trump's position on things like the HB1 visa, the one that supports the skilled foreign workers, has angered parts of his base who expected like stricter immigration policy, prompting some public outrage from the influential pro-Trump voices. He's saying this and he's doing the exact opposite. He's saying that nobody is coming to the US. He's suspended all asylum seekers, but then he sends a plane to South Africa to pick some, some white, some fake asylum seekers, white asylum seekers from South Africa. He's saying that the US is going to discontinue green card, but he's saying he's going to sell his gold, whatever. So, he says this, but he does the exact opposite and moves like, for example, the military action in Venezuela just very recently have also caused some MAGA supporters to question whether Trump's policy, foreign policy, still reflects the slogan "America First." They really wanted to know if really how does that help the common everyday American. Isn't that just a political stand? Isn't it that he's himself eyeing at the oil in Venezuela? Is it really about America, or is it about him making profits from whichever other administration he's going to influence into power in Venezuela? So these are not just minor disagreements. They speak to deep expectations, maybe among the MAGA supporters and his closest allies, and about economy, immigration, and the national focus. And then there is a point of loyalty, which is never automatic when it's with Trump. Even MAGA supporters those that defended Trump through every single allegation and every controversy he's been always accused of in the past. When, for example, the mainstream media criticized him openly, but now many feel as if there is no real loyalty back, to them. They point to a lot of broken promises on domestic priorities, like he promised to lower the cost of living. You remember him calling himself an economic genius, and to just tackle economic challenges on the ground, which Americans have not experienced anything like that. So, they have a reason as MAGA to also now complain and defect from the movement. So this has poisoned a lot of trust, and MAGA supporters cared about maybe tangible results. They thought their economic genius was going to help, not just rhetoric, but help with the economic situation. But the promised solutions did not land, and the people start questioning everything. So yeah, and also we have Trump's responses, that has made it worse. Instead of addressing these tensions with the people, with the farmers crying, you remember he even went out to bail out the president of Argentina, because the Argentinian economy was so bad. And that is exactly the same time when MAGA farmers from red hot states were asking for him to bail them out after he had thrown them out of business through his foreign policies and the tariffs, you remember. So instead of really addressing the tensions, Trump often deflects, focusing on other topics, rallying against media questions or dismissing critics, from within his own house. And that hasn't suited the movement. In some cases, it's made MAGA supporters feel abandoned. In most cases, let's say, and not being heard and not part of the party, not part of the movement. And yeah, that's the irony. The very energy that lifted him to power is feeling ignored. And there's going to they have to question that. So what we are seeing, they aren't just one issue. They reflect a lot of issues within the base itself, and unmet expectations, perceived betrayal, internal disagreements, and a base that's becoming less solid, less monolithic, less of one solid thing, to everybody just thinking someone continuity, someone accountability. So that's how division is really happening in the camp, So whether MAGA unravels or reinvents itself, it's clear the movement is not the same as it ever was. And it's not going to be the same again as long as Donald Trump is the one in charge, because it's his personality that people are now really questioning. And one thing is for sure, many of his supporters are no longer now so blindly just following. Many have started to question, and many have woken up to the truth, and they're not just following without questioning, And many are saying enough is enough, and that alone is a huge political moment. So I don't know what you think about this video. Do share with me your thoughts in the comment section below. Like this video and subscribe to the channel if it is your first time, and I'll see you in the next video.